Nature, God, or America provides many edible treats for us. You can go out in the woods in the eastern US every fall and find chocolate chips lying around on the ground, except they don't taste like chocolate. But they're free, and all you have to do is crawl around on the ground like a hog. Join me as I gather the nut of American beech trees. I'm hunting right now, and I was looking to see how the beech mass was, and in doing so I just ended up picking up a bunch of beech nuts for myself because I found some good ones. There's this beech right behind me. There are those trees that are people always carve their names into because the bark's real smooth, and they're nuts. They come out of the husk right here. It looked like that, and find a nut here. The nuts are pretty small, like that. They almost look like a teardrop triangle shape. If you sit down under a tree, under a beech tree, in the first like 20 seconds, start looking around, you can know whether or not the nuts are going to be good. The more fat and oblong they are, that means they're good. You don't want them to be concave, because if you pull them apart there with your fingernail, and you see that it's no good. If you find a tree where you find a bunch of empty ones, you're probably not going to find any good ones, so you don't want to waste too much time looking. Please don't waste my time! As soon as I went down onto the ground, I could see like 5 or 6 that were good, so I knew there's going to be a bunch of good ones here. And damn it, and most of the trees still aren't that good here, but I'd say at least half of them are, and that's better than most years. So I'm gonna find some more. One of the cool things about beech is they keep the leaves on, like, even through winter. Like, they'll be dead, they'll be brown, but during the winter, a lot of times you'll see a beech tree and it has all the leaves on it still, even though they're brown and dead. There's not too much you can confuse it with. American chestnut, which aren't a whole lot of them, and they don't get very big. If you do see them, they have similar type leaves, but they're like twice as long as these. So, yep, beech, it's a pretty good one. Even dumb people like me can figure it out. A lot of times if you're raking through leaf litter looking for beech nuts, you come across some salamanders, like this, probably a redback hatchling, probably a lead-phase redback, but not an uncommon thing to see, especially redbacks. And if it's been wet in general, it's rained the past couple of days here. It's no big deal though. Just cover them back up, they'll be all right. And you'll find snails and other things too. You're looking for beech nuts. Probably not snakes though, but if you are worried about seeing animals when you're doing this, then just do it when it's really cold out and you won't see anything. Idiot. Look at that smooth bark. Okay, so let's see here if we can find, I found one already. That one looks okay. I mean, it's not completely convex, but if you have a tree where a lot of them are good, even the ones that look like duds might not be duds at all. And here's a fat one right there. Right there. See, that didn't take too long. Found a good one. I found a couple other good ones right behind me. And that's all it is. Not a whole lot to it. A good one, they're fatter, they're more cone shaped, and they push out easier than the duds that usually stay in the shell. Time of year, maybe I'm wrong, maybe they're just, the husks have dried out a lot more, and either way, easier to find if they're not in the husk, and less work, though it's not a whole lot of work in general. That's the cool thing about finding beech nuts is the tree is really easy to ID. They have a pretty broad range across the eastern U.S., especially if you're in the northern part of the U.S., Great Lakes states. Here in Pennsylvania, they're pretty well distributed. In southwest PA, they're mostly in the ravines like I'm at right now. You can just crawl around on the ground and find them. You don't even really need legs, I guess. If you're on a path like most people are that walk in the woods, you can see them a lot easier because there aren't as many leaves on the path. But that also means that other animals can see them easier too, especially birds. So I'm not on a path here, but these fell on top of a rock that don't have as many leaves, so you can see how much easier they are to see. So that's another hot tip. Recruit your children as indentured servants to help with your beech nut collecting. Their tiny fingers can more easily sift through the leaf litter to find the little nuts and pull them apart with their tiny fingernails. I have to remember not to bite my nails so I can actually pull them apart easier. Okay, now to open one of these suckers here, you see how it's triangular shaped? You want to get your fingernail, kind of break the very pointy part of it off like that. And see how there's just like a little bit of the nut exposed there. The idea is to get your fingernail in the top here and just push on one side of the triangle until you can get one side open. There you go. So there's a nut inside there. As soon as you get one side open, that's all you need. You can just kind of pull apart the other two sides like that. And there you go. And then you can peel off this brown part if you want. Peter Brown back, all this OC30 lately, why they hate me? Just like a little bit of a rhyme, but I eat them with that on. It doesn't really matter that much. Yeah, there you go. That's a beech nut. I should mention that the brown casing or rind on the outside of the nut is mildly toxic or astringent, they call it, if you eat a ton of it raw. I eat them raw all the time. A lot of other people do. I've read a lot about it. Yeah, if you don't want to risk that, you can just peel it off or roast them. If you eat like 20 pounds of these nuts and get a tummy ache, don't come crying to me. This is like almost an hour's worth of work, so you're not gonna get a whole lot. You can see why these aren't commercially available. That's why they're so good. You can't buy them anywhere. You gotta go out and find them. So go out and get some beech nuts.